The effort put in by cameramen, sound recordists, film editors and all the backroom boys who worked on producing the film is best portrayed on the screen itself. We paid tribute to all newsreels throughout the world.
Meanwhile, our cameramen had been taking up their positions at the most strategic points. Yes, risking life and limb, not to mention wind, and climbing up to giddy heights to shoot the derby. Any minute now and the field will be off.
At the Grand National in 1956...
Tempers, certainly the worst outburst since 1906, perhaps since the great eruption of 1872. This is some of the evidence taken by newsreel Air Reconnaissance. Jim Wright, who took it, says it looked as if the whole of the mountain top blew right off. Deep under the mountain, tremendous convulsions were producing all the symptoms of a great volcanic blitz. And in view of the notorious behavior of Vesuvius from the destruction of Pompeii in 79 AD onwards, anything might have happened. Broad streams, often 20 feet high or more, the lava sweeps away and engulfs everything in its path. Certainly a blitz, but then it always is when Vesuvius gets going, war or peace.
The bombing of Monty Casino. The Benedictine monastery had been part of the Germans' defense line, holding up the Allied advance through Italy. Sinking of the battleship Barham.
This is Belsen, where people from all parts of Europe were herded. Typhus and starvation killed over 60,000. Here the living walked among the dead. Hundreds dropped dead every day and lay where they dropped. Belsen had been guarded by SS men and SS women. These are some of them, and according to the prisoners, they had practiced many cruelties upon women and children in the camp. And the SS commandant, a thing called Kramer. You may have seen its photograph in the papers. If the Hun had invaded Britain, this might have had power to torture and to starve any one of us. Yes, such atrocities might have been inflicted on the people of these islands. They were inflicted on the people in Belsen. Thousands upon thousands perished. Can anyone any longer doubt the truth of German atrocities? And yet, shall we remember these things in 10, 15, 20 years' time? It would be wise if all of us retain a lasting memory of the horror of this place. Belsen, where the victims of the Crooked Cross died in their tens of thousands, where the half-dead stumbled unseeing on their way to death, where the dying died among all those already dead. Belsen, where living skeletons clung on to life almost beyond all possibility of hope.
Failure to comply with them will be regarded as a breach of these surrender terms and will be dealt with by the Allied powers in accordance with the accepted laws and usages of war. This instrument of surrender is written in English and in German. The English version is the authentic text. The decision of the Allied powers will be final if any doubt or dispute arises as to the meaning or interpretation of the surrender terms. That is the text of the instrument of surrender, and The German delegation will now sign this paper, and they will sign in order of seniority, and General Admiral von Friedeberg will sign first. Now, General Kinsel will sign next. Rear Admiral Wagner will sign next. Now, I will sign the instrument on behalf of the Supreme Allied Commander, General Eisenhower. Now that concludes the formal surrender, and there are various matters now of detail to be discussed, which we will do in closed session.
Thank you very much. We don't understand the language, but we mean the same thing.
These scenes were recorded by one of Movietone's cameramen, for whom the Russians evidently had a very special welcome. Paul Wyand meets the Red Army.
Your coach, full of Dickens characters. Movietone. A model of the Queen there, of course.
Already, all over London's West End, the vast VJ crowds were collecting. Those at Westminster were just a foretaste of what was to come. London has its obvious rallying points on such great occasions. This was one. Piccadilly Circus, of course, was another. This magnetic centre now attracted almost more people than it could accommodate, and all of them made their feelings unmistakably clear.
Her Royal Highness Princess Elizabeth, speaking from South Africa on her 21st birthday, marks the occasion with this simple but historic message.
Let me begin by saying thank you to all the thousands of kind people who have sent me messages of goodwill. This is a happy day for me, but it is also one that brings serious thoughts. Thoughts of life looming ahead with all its challenges and with all its opportunity. Will you, the youth of the British family of nations, let me speak on my birthday as your representative. Now that we are coming to manhood and womanhood, it is surely a great joy to us all to think that we shall be able to take some of the burden off the shoulders of our elders who have fought and worked and suffered to protect our childhood. If we all go forward together with an unwavering faith, a high courage and a quiet heart, we shall be able to make of this ancient Commonwealth, which we all love so dearly, an even grander thing, more free, more prosperous, more happy, and a more powerful influence for good in the world than it has been in the greatest days of our forefathers. To accomplish that, we must give nothing less than the whole of ourselves. There is a motto which has been borne by many of my ancestors, a noble motto, I serve. Those words were an inspiration to many bygone heirs to the throne when they made their knightly dedication as they came to manhood. I cannot quite do as they did, but through the inventions of science, I can do what was not possible for any of them. I can make my solemn act of dedication with the whole empire listening. I should like to make that dedication now. It is very simple.
The crowds outside the palace were quite as vast and as thrilled as those of Jubilee and Coronation days. And how they cheered the happy pair when they came out onto the balcony. What a wonderful picture the princess made, looking most lovely in her magnificent gown and standing happily beside her husband. Presently they were joined by their Majesties and Queen Mary, and a storm of cheering broke out afresh. The link between the British people and the royal family is something quite unique.